In this video, I'm going to discuss the different types of impairments and disabilities, the challenges that learners with impairments experience, the assistive technologies they use to navigate the world, and my personal experience with the impacts of some impairments. There are four main types of impairments that people experience: visual impairments, auditory impairments, physical impairments, and cognitive impairments. Visual impairments include conditions like blindness, low vision, and color blindness. Auditory impairments refer to conditions like being deaf or hard of hearing. Physical impairments can take many different forms, but often refer to challenges with mobility or stamina. Cognitive impairments also cover various conditions. Some of those conditions are present from birth, like learning differences or developmental disorders, and some may be acquired, like a traumatic brain injury. While each person's experience with their own impairment is individual, there are some common challenges experienced by many people with certain impairments. There are also tools available to assist individuals with impairments in overcoming barriers to access and information. People with visual impairments may have challenges with navigating web pages and written content. Those with low vision or color blindness may be able to view content online as long as accessible contrast levels are used or if a color filter is applied. Those with blindness may use screen readers and braille keyboards to assist with reading content online. People who are hard of hearing with partial hearing loss may have challenges understanding the content of spoken conversations or videos, and they may wear hearing aids or use captions to aid in comprehension. Those who are deaf or profoundly hard of hearing may use sign language to communicate. They may also utilize descriptive captions when watching videos. People with physical impairments may have challenges navigating spaces and moving from one place to another. They may require the use of mobility aids like wheelchairs or walkers. They may also utilize accessible building features like ramps, elevators, and automatic doors. People with cognitive impairments may have challenges with processing information and problem solving. They may utilize different ways of consuming information, like listening to an audio recording while reading the text simultaneously. Learners with cognitive impairments in school may have their own accommodations tailored to their needs, such as additional time to take tests and alternate note-taking methods. Learning about the different types of impairments and the assistive technologies available helped to expand my empathy for those living with impairments and disabilities. I have experience with both of my parents having different impairments, which I'll discuss in a moment, but that experience was limited to the particular challenges my parents experience. Learning about the broader world of those living with disabilities and impairments has really opened my eyes to both the challenges they face and the huge importance of assistive technologies and accommodations. One takeaway that was vital to me was that many assistive technologies and accommodations benefit all people, not just those with a particular impairment. For example, many people prefer to watch videos with subtitles for various reasons, so people who are deaf or hard of hearing are not the only ones benefiting from video captions. As I mentioned before, both of my parents are living with different impairments. My dad has been hard of hearing since his 20s, before I was born. He is not deaf and does not use sign language to communicate, but he relies on hearing aids for every aspect of his life, other than sleeping. I remember some of the important communication rules that were drilled into me growing up. One was to always get my dad's attention before speaking to him. Another was to enunciate clearly. And one of the most important was to always keep my face towards him with speaking and to not cover my mouth with my hands or turn away in the middle of a sentence. If we followed a few simple rules, it was relatively easy to communicate with my dad and to not have his hearing impairment be a huge issue in our family communication. My mom acquired some cognitive impairments after undergoing chemotherapy for breast cancer treatment. She was in her mid-40s when everything started, which was around the time that I was in junior high school. There was never an official diagnosis or determination about her cognitive issues, though some doctors used the term chemo brain to describe what was happening. Because this impairment was not a clear-cut diagnosis, There were no defined adaptations or accommodations that were readily available to my mom or to our family. We had to rely on her self reported symptoms and the advice of the neurologist and occupational therapist she was working with. Initially, the biggest challenges were related to working memory, concentration, and multitasking. We could not interrupt her whenever she was trying to do something because one small interruption could cause her to forget what she was doing entirely. She also couldn't carry on a conversation while doing any other task, even if the task was something relatively simple like cutting vegetables or tying her shoes. Absolutely everything had to be written down, otherwise, she would not remember it. She would get overwhelmed easily, and there were good days and bad days where her cognitive function varied. Learning how to work with my mom's new impairments was more difficult than working with my dad because it was a change for all of us, especially my younger sister and I. We never knew my dad without a hearing impairment, so our communication rules were already natural to us. Because my mom's impairment was something new and also not something we understood well, there was some frustration that happened as we all navigated a sort of new normal. I was still in junior high school when she had cancer, so I was old enough to follow directions, but still young enough to be very self-centered in my way of thinking. It was easy to blame myself when something I said or did caused my mom to lose focus or get overwhelmed. I also sometimes got mad at her for her cognitive difficulties, even though I logically knew that it wasn't her fault and that she was doing the best she could. Unless you're close enough to notice my dad's hearing aids, or you catch my mom on a bad day, neither of my parents would appear to have impairments when you first meet them. Despite outward appearances, I know that many basic life tasks can be a struggle for both of them. Seeing how they struggled when I was younger, I was mostly just grateful that my hearing was fine and that I didn't really have any cognitive issues. However, after learning about the social model of disability and how it's possible to create an environment with fewer barriers for those with impairments, I'm ready to focus more on how I, as a learning designer, can contribute to a more inclusive society.